Council will call the meeting to order. For the record, is March 7th, 2023 at 6 p.m. We'll begin this evening's city council meeting with roll call attendance.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Strader.
Here.
Councilwoman Perot.
Here.
Councilman Cavanagh.
Here.
Councilman Borton.
Here.
Councilman Hoagland.
Here.
Mayor Simison.
Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all please rise and join us in the pledge. Next up is the community invocation, which tonight will be delivered by Pastor Vinny Hankey. If you would please join us in the community invocation or take this as a moment of silence and reflection.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to come and pray for you as you begin your meeting. Would you pray? God, we thank you for the city of Meridian. I ask just humbly on behalf of the City Council that you would grant them wisdom and discernment as they conduct leadership of the city. Would you help them to listen well? Would you help us to be a city of neighbors who love one another and are full of kindness? We ask a blessing on those who serve our city, God, and all the departments here at City Hall, the police force, the fire stations, God, the school teachers, just across the city, God. Would you bless those who give of their service to others? We ask finally that you would be glorified by the city of Meridian. Through Christ I pray. Amen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Borton looks forward to seeing you early morning soon. Next up is the adoption of the agenda. Councilman Hoagland.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the agenda as published.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the agenda as published. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the consent agenda or the agenda is agreed to. Next up is the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hoagland.
I move approval of the consent agenda and for the mayor to sign and clerk to attest.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the consent agenda is agreed to. There were no items moved from the consent agenda. So the next item is a public forum. Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody sign up on that item?
Mr. Mayor, we did not.
Okay, so we will move right into Department Commission reports. Item 13 is the Transportation Commission Annual Report, which will be delivered by their chair, Mr. Walter Steed. So, Chairman Steed, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Mayor, council members. It's good to be here this evening. This is our annual report for 2022. The Transportation Commission was formed by ordinance in February of 2013. Commission consists of 9 appointed commissioners and meets here in the council chambers the first Monday of each month. Myself and Jared Smith are chair and vice chair in 2022 and were reelected for 2023. Last month, we had Joseph Leckie. Last year, we had Joseph Leckie with us as the youth commissioner, January through August, but he graduated high school and went to the East Coast to go to college, and good on him. Hayun Song was appointed in his position in October, and he's been a very helpful addition to the commission. Other members of the commission are David Ballard, Stephen Lewis, Tracy Hopkins, Ron Lancaster, Tom LeClaire, and Zachary Shoemaker. Representatives from the Idaho Transportation Department District 3, Ada County Highway District, Compass, Valley Regional Transit, and the West Ada School District all attend our meetings as ex officio members. Planning Division Manager Caleb Hood and Comprehensive Associate Coordination Planner Miranda Carson provide staff support. Tricia Murray, Deputy City Attorney, provides legal guidance. January through September, Sergeant Justin Dance provided regular traffic issues and concerns from the Meridian Police Department to the commission. Since October, Corporal Randy Goodspeed has provided those updates. City staff provides monthly updates regarding the progress of ITD and ACHD projects, both in design and in construction. Additional city staff and other staff from the ex officio agencies interact with the commission on a regular basis, as do members of the public. Regarding what we did last year in January, a resident, John Wheeler, presented concerns at the Bree development on Records Avenue south of River Valley. The commission requested a speed study and crosswalk evaluation from ACHD, and ACHD determined no change was warranted with crosswalks. Valley Regional Transit's Elisa Taysom provided us an update on the Connected 2.0 transit plan in January. In February, the commission heard a presentation from Meridian planner Brian McClure on the new field sub-area plan and planning director Caleb Hood on center median options along Ustick Road. The commission had a lengthy discussion of variable road speeds on Eagle Road and recommended a speed study. The Ordinance and Development Subcommittee of our commission discussed Meridian parking ordinances and reviewed current conditions of downtown parking. That subcommittee chair, Tom Leclerc, provided an update to the full commission. To refresh commission and update newer commissioners, Miranda Carson also in February provided a review of the commission's bylaws, and there was a discussion of duties and powers. In March, Commissioner Stephen Lewis presented on enhanced pedestrian crossings, which the ACHD Pedestrian Advisory Group was considering in the Valley, and solicited feedback from fellow commissioners to take back to that group. In May, ACHD's Meg McCarthy gave us a presentation on the ACHD Bicycle Advisory Committee. For citizen requests, there was also a discussion on crosswalks on Stockenham and consideration of adding compression brake signs on Linder. In June, the mayor was gracious enough to come talk to the commission regarding the state of the city transportation review. A citizen concern regarding compression brake usage on Linder was further discussed with input from ACHD and city staff. Austin Miller from ACHD presented on the agency's capital improvement plan and impact fee ordinance. Residents Samantha Craig presented on concerns regarding a pathway crossing on Amity, and the commission recommended an enhanced crossing be considered by the prioritization subcommittee for inclusion in the city's integrated 5-year work plan. Discussion began on citizen concerns about a micropath in the Raven Hill subdivision. In August, I provided an update on the ACHD Capital Investment Citizens Advisory Committee's work on the ACHD impact fee ordinance, and resident concerns were heard regarding U-turns on Chinden at Linder, and no parking signs in the Woodbridge neighborhood were also discussed. Resident concerns of a crossing at Black Cat and Gondola were discussed, and the commission recommended an enhanced crossing be included in the city's IFYWP request. In September, commissioners and staff were given a tour of the ACHD Traffic Operations Center and the sign shop. The tour also included an overview of current traffic signal operations in Ada County. Moving to October, Elaine Clegg and Compass Planner Leila Kloppenstein provided a presentation on the history and possible future of local and interstate railway in the Treasure Valley. Compass Planner Hunter Mulhall provided us a presentation on I-84 operations corridor plan. There was a lengthy discussion on a citizen inquiry in regard to speed limit signs and a crosswalk on Lost Rapids Drive near Bird Park. The commission recommended MPD and ACHD staff collect and review speed data on that area. The commission recommended a painted crosswalk be considered by the prioritization subcommittee for inclusion in the city's request. In November, Lost Rapids Drive speed data from MPD and ACHD was received, reviewed, and discussed. The Transportation Commission requested ACHD follow up with neighbors regarding traffic calming and do a crosswalk evaluation at San Vito and Lost Rapids. There was also discussion regarding additional parking at Bird Park. Ms. Carson provided a primer on the city's annual transportation project prioritization efforts. It was set to kick off with staff later in the month and begin with the commission in December. The subcommittee had a lengthy meeting in late November to begin setting that transportation projects list as part of the IFYWP process. In December, Ashley Ferguson, the owner of the Griddle, approached us with a request to have a crosswalk installed and the speed limit reduced on Celebration Avenue due to concerns about pedestrian safety. The commission recommended several actions, and city and ACHD staff begin to work through these issues and what might be possible. The commission reviewed the roads and intersections section of the IFYWP list. In your packet, you have a link to our minutes. Any of you that would like to look at any more detail of any of those would be certainly welcome to do so. We want to be sure and remind you that we are grateful for the opportunity to serve on this commission to provide service to the citizens of the city and the city council regarding transportation systems in the community. I'd be happy to attempt to answer any questions.
Thank you, Walter. Council, any questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Cavanagh.
Chairman Steed, appreciate the very comprehensive report. And I also just want to commend you too for also recognizing the good work of staff. One thing I love about our commissions is it's a good partnership between our staff, and Caleb and Miranda are no exception. Their work with you is always to be commended. And I appreciate you being here tonight. For the council's benefit, I know Chairman Steed knows this. I think I was the last ex officio council member to serve on the Transportation Commission. And during that time, one of the things that I really applauded was that the commission was looking to be less reactive and more proactive in their engagement around transportation initiatives. And I'm just curious to get your, input, Chairman Steed. Is that continuing to work out? How is the general feel of the commission? And what can we on the city council do to continue to support your great work?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you for the question. We want to be relevant. We don't do this just to come spend a couple of hours down here sitting in the city council chamber. We want to have citizens bring us questions, issues, council people, staff, and sometimes it may look like we talk them to death. And because of the once a month meeting, it may look like it takes forever for us to get to some point, but quite often, being empirically driven, we're asking staff and ACHD and ITD to get us more information so we can understand what the situation actually is. I would like to see ex officio council back at our commission meetings. It's very helpful, I think, for both us to ask for what that particular member might believe the council would do on a particular item we're thinking about, or whether they can take information back to you in a more informal basis. So it wouldn't bother myself if that were to reoccur. We do want to be relevant. We do want to be proactive. We don't go looking for trouble. It's things that come to us or things that we see sometimes. We drive around the city as well.
Thank you. And there are some initiatives that you all are looking at to be proactive. And, it's come
Yes,
to
sir.
my attention recently, maybe discussions about speed limits in neighborhoods is back on the commission's consideration, other things. So definitely you have an interest in what is going on in the community.
We do.
Council, any additional questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Borton.
you brought up the Ashley's question over at the Griddle and over by Majestic. Do you feel that, one, I know her well, so the discussion was appreciated greatly that she had before the commission, but do you think that issue was resolved, or were there any remedies implemented, or is it not complete?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, it's not resolved. It's back on our agenda for next month. We have ACHD has recommended to us not to act on it, but at least to tell us that they're thinking about marking no parking between the Griddle's driveway back to Overland. Right now, it is not marked no parking, but it's a 3-lane wide street that doesn't have room for any parking. So they're looking at signing that in a more practical way. We also asked ACHD to relook at their decision several years ago to strip parking on the north side of the east-west part of Celebration. And they are looking into that. We would like to get additional parking places there. I had a suggestion, which was that the tavern behind the Griddle and possibly the Griddle people could work out some arrangement where griddle patrons or staff could park in that parking lot, whether it's for compensation or not. Whether or not that's gotten back to those owners, I'm not sure. They do have a parking problem. They don't have the number of parking spaces in their lot that would be currently required had that come before the city for approval at this time. So we understand that there's a problem. We don't have a single solution yet, but we have several things that we are looking at through both the city and ACHT, sir.
Mayor, a
That's
couple
important.
comments. That's a great example of why our parking requirements are based in what very well may be necessary for a business to be successful. If you fall short, it can strangle a commercial development. And if you want an example of being relevant and having a big impact, that's having a big impact. That's not only solving problems for those businesses to survive, but it's a safety issue for pedestrians and vehicles trying to drive in and around that area. So the solutions you're talking about literally changes lives for the individuals who participate in those businesses. So thanks for taking the time to do so and for following up. I'm glad it's on the agenda next month too.
Mr. Mayor, council member, it is, and we're going to work it some more until we get to a conclusion with the city. You can't. With ACHD, we can't. But we are looking at it and working on it. Again, it seems like it takes us forever to work through these things because first meeting is the question. The second meeting is some data, probably a third meeting before we start talking about what might occur. But thank you.
Council, any additional questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for being here, and Mr. Lancaster, who showed up with a +1 for support, and the famous Mr. Hood, who's one of the power people in commercial development in Idaho in the room. So you brought a real team. Appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, in council, just reiterate what you said. It's the staff that really makes this work, both ITD, ACHD, city. We really rely upon them for data, and we really appreciate the time they give us. They're never selfish. But thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we will move on to item 14, which is a public hearing for Sage Creek subdivision SHP 2023-0001. And we will open this public hearing with staff comments from Stacy.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The applicant has submitted a short plat for Sage Creek subdivision. This site consists of 0.92 acres of land, and it's currently zoned CC, and it's located at 1554 South Labrador Way. Currently, the history on the property is governed by an existing development agreement, and a certificate of zoning compliance and design review was approved for a building to the south fronting Overland Road. The comprehensive plan flume designation is mixed use community. The applicant is proposing to subdivide lot 4, block 2 of the Swindle subdivision into 2 building lots. The perimeter landscape was installed with the previous subdivision improvements. Lot 2, block 1 is currently developed with a new 5,595 square foot 2-story office building and associated site and landscape improvements, and that includes the actual parking lot as well. It would be the plan to on your right to once this lot is subdivided, the remaining lot will accommodate a future office commercial use, and that would require a certificate of zoning compliance and design review before commencing construction on the new lot to the north. To ensure there is adequate parking for the site and shared access is provided, staff recommends the applicant add a plat note granting cross access and shared parking between the 2 lots. Further direct lot access is prohibited from East Overland Road in accordance with the UDC. There was no written testimony for this, and staff does recommend approval with the conditions listed in the staff report. and I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Stacy. Council, any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant here this evening? Like to come forward and state your name and address for the record, be recognized for 15 minutes or as much time as you'd like to consume.
My name is David Morehouse. I represent the owner, John Malin. And we just completed the construction of his building that was described. And really all I'm here for is to answer any questions that there may be.
Thank you. Council, any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Mayor.
Council Administrator.
Hi, Mr. Morehouse. I'm just curious if you could indicate, you don't have to, but is there any indication of the type of tenant that we could expect to see here?
Not at this time. There has been some interest from Dr. Malin is Hawaii oral surgery. And so it'd be a hand-selected something complimentary so that parking and everything would work. We don't have anybody identified at this moment.
Mr. Mayor.
Council Administrator.
Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. Medical tenants like to co-locate together, so appreciate that insight. Thanks.
Council, any additional questions? All right. Ms. Clerk, we have anyone sign up on this item?
We did not.
Okay. Well, if there's anybody present that would like to provide testimony on this item, if you'd like to come forward at this time, or anybody online, if you'd like to provide testimony, you can use the raise your hand function on Zoom. Seeing no one raising their hand or no one coming forward, would the applicant like to make any final comments or applicant waves? Council, what's your pleasure or direction?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Borton.
pretty straightforward, short plat here. Make a motion, we close the public hearing on SHP 2023-0001.
I have a motion, a second to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the public hearing is closed.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Borton.
in light of the applicant's presentation and the staff report, it all seems appropriate and justified. I'll make a motion to approve short plat application 2023-0001 as presented in the staff report of March 7th, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion, and a second. Do I have discussion on the motion? If not, clerk call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Strader,
Aye.
Perot.
Aye.
Cavanagh.
Aye.
Borton.
Aye.
Hoagland.
All ayes, motion carries, and the item is agreed to. Thank you very much and good luck. Anything under future meeting topics, council, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hoagland.
move that we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.
Good night.